Hello, and welcome to another historical biography video, where today we're going to talk about Frederick Douglass, who is a leading abolitionist and the most influential Black American of the 18th, or the 18th century, the 19th century. Um, he was an abolitionist, and he really made big strides and big pushes for abolitionism in the United States. So we're going to talk a little bit about him and his life today. So, who was Frederick Douglass? Well, he was born in 1818 as Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey, and he was a slave in Maryland. So, he was born into slavery in the United States. After escaping slavery, he moved north to Massachusetts and then New York, where he became a leader of the American abolitionist movement. He was famous for his oratory and pointed anti slavery writings. He wrote several autobiographies, and he became the first Black American to be nominated for vice president. He was added to the Equal Rights Party ticket, which is pretty cool. Frederick Douglass was so well known at the time that he was considered one of the most famous Black people in the country. And he also, people didn't actually believe that he was capable of writing and reading, or writing and speaking the way he did, until people actually saw him in person, because they just didn't believe that former slaves could be that well educated and that well spoken. And he proved them all wrong, which is pretty cool. He was a pretty amazing man. So what kind of things did Douglass support? Well, there were several different things that he really advocated for as an abolitionist. The first thing was, of course, abolitionism, which was the idea that slaves should be free, there shouldn't be slavery in the United States. He protested against segregation, so the beginnings of segregation in our society, he protested against that. He fought for Black suffrage during the Civil War, so he was kind of constantly in Abraham Lincoln's ear, telling him that Black suffrage and Black freedom was important for the Union. And he argued that Blacks should have no love for an America that shows them no love. So what he basically was saying there is that since our country doesn't really appreciate or love Black bodies or Black people, Blacks don't have any obligation to love America back because they have not been in a reciprocal relationship. Something else he really supported was women's suffrage. He attended the Seneca Falls Convention, and he argued that he could not accept Black men voting if women would also be restricted. He said that was kind of a something that would kind of go against his values. And he, in his one major speech at the Seneca Falls Convention, he noted the link between abolition and feminism, how those two causes were inextricably linked together because of the kind of the history of the movements, but also because of their status as powerless minorities in the American political scheme of the time. The other thing that he really pushed for was the use of photography to try to end slavery. He thought that photography would be monumental to ending slavery, and because that means that people would have to actually confront the brutality and violence of slavery with their eyes, right? Hearing about things and not actually seeing them has a big difference. Think about maybe like the Vietnam War, when the pictures from the conflict came back to the United States. That's when the anti-war movement really got going, because people didn't just hear things about what was happening, right? They were seeing what was actually happening, and they could, it's really hard to get an image like that out of your head. And so he argued that the creation of photography could really help end slavery by convincing people just how wrong it was, by confronting them with these images of the brutality in America. So someone this important obviously left behind quite a legacy. He's considered, like I said, one of the most influential African Americans of the 19th century. He had been honored numerous times. Sculptures of him, art. He's had his name affixed to several centers and museums and universities. And to this day, he's held aloft as an example of Black excellence, right? When people think of excellent Black achievement, Frederick Douglass is brought up many times, right? He's up there with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, people like that. Thank you so much for watching. And please subscribe and hit the bell so you can understand and know when more content from me is coming. I've got lots of different things going on the channel, including these videos about historical people, but I also have videos about scientists. I have videos about science and history terms. I have a great series about algebra that's going on. Lots of different things that you can see and learn from. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell, and we'll see you for the next historical biography. Thank you so much for watching.